A villager charged with trying to kill his wife hopes to be released from jail. A golf cart driver was transported from the scene of a crash Friday afternoon near Freedom Point. Former Sumter County Commissioner Orrin Miller was convicted of perjury Friday afternoon and will remain behind bars until sentencing. An ex-convict living in the villages is being held after crashing a golf cart believed to be used in a string of car burglaries. New rules about decorating your gate entrance in your village for the holidays. Bicycle Club in the villages is calling for a strict sentence for a villager who hit two bicyclists in the villages. A 79-year-old murderer suspect is behind bars in Sumter County. 31 children received new bicycles Saturday thanks to the efforts of the Lady Lake Police Department. This and more coming up. Keep watching. Let's see some more village news. A villager charged with trying to kill his wife is hoping to be released on bond. George Albert Hatchie, 72, allegedly stabbed his wife 12 times on the morning of September 28th at their home in the village of Della Vista North. He has pleaded not guilty to a charge of attempted first-degree murder. He continues to be held without bond at the Sumter County Detention Center. His attorney, Jamie Washoe Spivey, has filed a motion in Sumter County Court seeking his release. She is asking that the bond be set at $50,000. In the motion, the attorney argues that Hatchie has no prior criminal history. She said he lived most of his life in Massachusetts and was a college professor at Bentley University. She said he has three children who all live in the New England area. I didn't mean to kill her. I'm sorry. Some of these attorneys, in my opinion, has turned laws into almost a practical joke. Community Development District 6 supervisors are divided on a fine forgiveness at a flipped property at a home with a sad history. The home at 1671 Sellers Court in Emily Villas in the village of Mallory Square was owned by the late David Frank Kablitz. He purchased the home for $170,000 in 2014 with his wife, who preceded him in death. During his final years, the widower fell victim to theft by a youthful neighbor who was recently sentenced to prison. Must have been mommy's little boy that's stealing this guy's property next door. Thanks, Mommy, for bringing your juvenile delinquent kids to live in a retirement community. There were complaints about dead palm trees, overgrown grass, and weeds in the villa. The villa was picked up last January for $206,100 by Southern Properties Florida LLC. In March, that company sold the home for $299,800 to a woman from Ontario, Canada. There are more than $8,600 in outstanding fines at the home. I don't understand how this can even happen, because where I'm coming from, if there's money owed on a property, they put a lien on the property so that when you go to closing, that money comes out of the closing cost. I mean, I don't know. If I got to tell you, some of these people I think down here that's in charge of all this stuff, I think are pretty brain dead. A golf cart driver was transported from the scene of a crash Friday afternoon near Freedom Point. Freedom Point is like an assisted living place, but it's very nice. Under roof parking, golf cart accessibility to all the villages. It's not the only one that has that, but I've been there. It's very nice. The time a golf cart struck a light pole at about 3 p.m. at the intersection of El Camino Real and Buena Aires Boulevard. Village's public safety department removed the driver from the golf cart using a backboard, according to the witness. The male driver was loaded into an ambulance and transported from the scene. He was taken to UF Health, the village's hospital. Former Sumter County Commissioner Orrin Miller was convicted of perjury Friday afternoon and will remain behind bars until sentencing. Miller, a resident of the village of Sanibel, heard the verdict from the clerk at the conclusion of the trial in Marion County, at which Judge Anthony M. Tati presided. After the verdict was read, Miller was escorted from the courtroom by two deputies. He will be in jail until sentencing. Maybe it's just me, but I still say, I look at this like, well, these two are bucking against the good old boy system here, and they lost. County Attorney Jennifer Ray testified as to the training on the Sunshine Law, ethics, and the concern she had that the commissioners may have had some out-of-meeting conversations regarding county business. Search, a resident of the village of Amelia, testified that he had several conversations with Miller, but denied that they discussed county business. He was not asked about the agreement to take a plea deal, which enabled him to avoid a trial and possible felony conviction. Miller maintained he did nothing wrong and chose to go to trial. Miller and Search had been elected to the Sumter County Commission in November of 2020. The final witness called to the prosecutor was Russell Suis, chief investigator of the state attorney's office. Suis told a jury about an interview which laid the basis for the perjury charge. The prosecutor played the tape interview in which Miller was asked if there had been any conversation with Search. The prosecutor replayed the tape in her closing argument so the jury could hear Miller in his own voice emphatically say no when asked if he made any calls to other commissioners after January. Miller chose not to testify at the trial. The jury deliberated 23 minutes before returning a guilty verdict. Well, I wasn't there, but it sounds like to me that there must have been overwhelming evidence with they only took 23 minutes. But just know, down here, it's a good old boy system, I'm telling you. People on the commission over here, some get elected, some don't. Some are just kind of like put in place. Whether they're any good or not any good, they just stick them there because probably somebody owes them a favor. And so they put somebody in there as a payback for a favor. I don't trust any of them over there. None of them. I don't care who they are. Most of them are villagers, or a lot of them are. They weren't no good here. They're not going to be any good there. They're all out to pad their own pockets. An ex-convict living in the villages is being held after crashing a golf cart believed to have been used in a string of car burglaries. Kenneth Andrew Weatherwax, 39, who lives in the Natchez Villas, continues to be held this weekend on $59,000 bond on multiple charges of burglary and theft at the Sumter County Detention Center. Weatherwax is a suspect in a string of car burglaries in the villages. Sumter County Sheriff's deputies received numerous reports of vehicle break-ins on Veterans Day in the Danforth Court area in the village of Summerhill, a little more than a mile from Weatherwax's home. Most of the vehicles have been ransacked and only loose change was stolen. However, one vehicle owner reported her pool cue, valued at $200, had been stolen. In addition, the owner of a 2020 Chevrolet Camaro reported that the vehicle's canvas convertible top had been cut. The damage estimated at $2,000. The sheriff's office suspected that Weatherwax used his golf cart to travel to neighborhoods when the vehicles were burglarized. The following night, a golf cart believed to be owned by Weatherwax crashed into a wall along El Camino Real. The driver fled the scene. Weatherwax was arrested at his home. In 2011, Weatherwax was arrested in Lake County on charges of fraud, dealing in stolen property, and larceny. He was sentenced to 2 years, 2 months, and 28 days in state prison with credit for 76 days already served in jail. He was released March 6, 2014, and moved into Natchez Villas and the Villages. Retirement community. A villager's son is free on bond after his latest arrest, this time by the Unified Drug Enforcement Strike Team. Stephen Cafferati, 57, who lives with his mother at 3205 Riverton Road in the village of Palo Ridge, was arrested by UDEST officers in Marion County this past week on charges of possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia. He was booked at the Marion County Jail and released Saturday after posting a $6,000 bond. Cafferati has a long history of arrest. In 2019, he was arrested with a crack pipe after he was pulled over and a K-9 alerted on the vehicle. Cafferati had been arrested in 2014 after he was caught driving on a suspended license. A defense attorney wants a psychological evaluation of a 75-year-old villager who has been jailed without bond. Catherine Wallace Chandler, who lives in the Quail Ridge Villas in the village of Briar Meadow, has been behind bars since September 21 at the Sumter County Detention Center. She is being represented by a public defender's office, which has asked that she undergo a psychological evaluation to determine if she is competent. Her time behind bars began after arrest in June on a charge of driving under the influence. Chandler had been at the wheel of a black 2000 2013 Mercedes when she was traveling eastbound in a westbound lane of traffic on State Road 44, according to a arrest report. Chandler had been sentenced August 23rd to probation, but violated her probation by failing to show up for her work detail. After spending 11 days in jail, she drove her Mercedes to her probation office, despite the fact her license had been suspended as part of her DUI sentence. She has been jailed since that ill-fated visit to her probation officer. Oh, good Lord. What can I say? You can't make some of this stuff up. Oh, Lord. A Village of Summerhill man with a history of speeding is serving a 30-day jail sentence. Sean Howard Brennan, 49, who lives at 3325 Shelby Street, was sentenced last week in Lake County Court after pleading no contest to a charge of driving while license suspended. He had been jailed earlier this month after skipping a court date in the case. Brennan, who had been at the wheel of a black Dodge Challenger traveling at a high rate of speed in April when he was pacing a BMW in the area of County Road 466 and U.S. Highway 27 to 441. The Challenger was caught on radar traveling 72 miles per hour. During a traffic stop, the officer learned that Brennan had a suspended license and multiple previous convictions for driving while license suspended. I gotta tell you, I think some of these people need to go back to school and get an education because they're dumber than a box of rocks. The Buffalo, New York native also was arrested this past September when his black Dodge Challenger was pulled over for traveling at 70 miles per hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. They searched the vehicle, turned up 3.5 grams of marijuana, 2 marijuana grinders, 2 smoking pipes, and rolling papers with multiple burnt marijuana cigarettes. I have no driver's license. I've been suspended. I got marijuana cigarettes in the console, but hey, I think I'll drive 75 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone because I'm in a hurry. If your village plans to decorate the gatehouse or your villa entrance this holiday season, the district boards have adopted an update holiday decoration policy that includes postal stations. Prior to installation, residents must submit a design to district property management at 1026 Canal Street, the village, or email property management at districtgov.org and sign the activity release of liability. You may also contact district property management at 352-753-4022 for additional information. Yes, they started this, I think, last year, may have been 2 years ago. But anyway, decorating these things, the entrance to every area is a big thing. They like to decorate them on holidays. And I got no problem with it. But some of them get carried away. They get carried away nuts. They just think the bigger, the better. Stuff flopping around everywhere, the bigger, the better. And then finally, they had to step in and say, no, you can't be doing this because this is getting in the way of that. This thing over here, when it flops around, it hits people's cars. People just don't use their common sense. So now there's specific rules about it, or they will take them down. And they said in an article, we will take them down. And what they were doing was putting them in a warehouse. And then if you wanted to reclaim them, you had to go to the warehouse to get it. Well, they were raising hell about that. So now what they do is they'll take them down and they set them in the ditch or someplace off to the side. And that's where you have to go get them, go pick them up. Submit your plan, do your thing, and decorate all you want, but just do it in a proper manner. The largest bicycle club in the villages is calling for a strict sentence for a villager who hit 2 cyclists with her Mercedes. Marilyn Hamilton, 91, of the village of Gilchrist, is due back in Sumter County Court on December the 20th, and her attorney has indicated Hamilton may be prepared to enter a plea. She could face sentencing at that time. Hamilton was at the wheel of her white Mercedes-Benz on October 30th, 2020, when she hit Village of Dunedin resident Jessica Laub, and boy, she got injured seriously bad. Seriously. I don't know these people. But, I don't have to know them to feel sorry for what happened. And Robert Hunter, who had been riding on Morris Boulevard. Hamilton remains free on bond through her driving privileges have been suspended. Well, we already know your driving privileges being suspended here means nothing. Until the courts and the lawmakers and things here start making this a serious offense and get off of that point system in the courts and really come down on these people, this suspended license things means nothing. I mean, do they have insurance on the car, or are we even checking? I mean, they violate these laws, and it's just like they just snub their nose at it. They don't care. So it makes me wonder, why do I do it? Why do I get a license? Or drivers, why? Do I really need one? Nobody else seems to have one, and nobody seems to be going to jail for it. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. A new sushi restaurant is coming to Lake Deaton Plaza. Kumo Sushi and Hibachi will be located in what is now a shell building located at 635 Kristen Way. The restaurant will be 2,400 square feet. Construction is expected to begin in January. The architect is Green Logic LLC of Gotha. The general contractor is Kingdom Construction of Wildwood. Sushi is a staple dish of Japanese cuisine consisting of cooked rice flavored with vinegar and a variety of vegetable, egg, and raw seafood garnishes and served cold. Doesn't that sound yummy? Cold, raw fish. A 79-year-old murderer suspect is behind bars in Sumter County. Miguel Angel Rios Pizarro of Lakeland was being held without bond this weekend at the Sumter County Detention Center. He is facing a charge of homicide. A deceased adult male was found on October 9 at a Green Swamp Wilderness Reserve. Pizarro reportedly stated that he shot the man during an argument over money. 31 children received new bicycles Saturday thanks to the efforts of Lady Lake Police Department. It was the very first bicycle for 1-year-old in the whole of Tolbert. She eagerly accepted her tiny Minnie Mouse tricycle from Santa Claus during the festivities, which included lunch, cupcakes, and of course the bicycle giveaway at American Legion Post 375. Little Hola picked up on the handle of her tricycle with some help from her 7-year-old brother, Dondre Walters, a student at the village's elementary and Lady Lake. The bicycles were paid for thanks to the help of local clubs, according to Police Chief Robert Tepesta. Well worth project for the police department. They do so much good. All you ever hear about them is the bad, but they do so much good. And while we're on that subject, listen, I understand with the economics today that money sometimes can be tight for a lot of people, but you know that on my December show is we donate all the super chats, all the super stickers to the Children's Wish Foundation down in Orlando, which goes for the children in Florida. And we take the check down personally, and we'll video it, and we give it to them. So if you guys have got an extra couple of bucks in your pocket, come to my WNL show in December. It's going to be the Wednesday before Christmas this year. So it's not going to be on our normal time. The Wednesday before Christmas, which I think is like December 21st. You may want to double check that. All super chats, all super stickers on that show, 100% of it will be donated to the Children's Wish Foundation. Also in December, all the money that I get on my YouTube memberships for the month of December will be donated to the Children's Wish Foundation. So if you want a cheap way to help these kids out, it used to be $1.99 a month for YouTube memberships, but somebody told me that they raised it to $1.49. I don't know if that's true or not because I'm the one that set the price. I don't know how they can raise something that I set. I have to double check on that. But even at that, if it is $1.49 a month now, that's pretty cheap as a donation to the kids. If I get 1,000 of you to do that, you can see how that significantly would add up. Also, if you are concerned about how much YouTube takes, and they do, they take 30% of anything I get on YouTube. YouTube keeps that. I get 70%, which I'm not going to complain about it. If it wasn't for the super chats and things, I wouldn't get anything. But there's 2 other ways you can donate to these kids. That you set the price, really. You can go to my PayPal account. Link is in the description box below. It'll take you directly to the PayPal account. And then you can just donate what you want, a one-time donation, $10, $5, $100, whatever. Put a little note in there. That's all for the kids. Something like that. Just any kind of little note. Because I'm keeping records of all that. So I can thank you probably during the show. A lot of people are making donations and I don't know who it is. So I really can't personally thank them during the show. And I really like to thank you to acknowledge who you are. So you can do it that way. Or if you'd rather not do it that way, you can go to my store below. There's coffee cups, there's some hats, there's some t-shirts, maybe some, I don't even know what else is down there. You can buy one of them through that store. That store is not me. It's a store I'm doing business through. And you can order whatever you want, t-shirt, a hat, whatever size you want, whatever color you pick out. They collect the money, and then whatever profit is on that particular item that you buy at the end of that cycle, whatever is on there, they will send it to you. And then what they do is they send a report to me saying how much profit I made that month on these items, whatever. When we first started doing it, the profits which were fairly significant, I thought. And since then, no, the profits has really dwindled down to not much. Somebody buy a coffee cup. I think I got like $3 or something for a coffee cup. So, that's added into it. I'm just looking over here at some of the donations. Here's one for merch. I just write down merch, $3.10. That's all I got that month. So that was probably a coffee cup or something. So, but hey, I'm not turning anything down. We'd like to get as much as we possibly can for these kids. Time's running short, and I really, really, really want to help these kids out the best that I can. Okay, join my YouTube memberships now, because if you join now, that money will come out in December, and then that money will go to the kids. If you wait till December, then that money doesn't come out until January. So you got to join now for it to come out in December. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. I'm done advertising for myself. A mother and son owes $21,000 in fines over torn lanai screens at their home in the Villages. The home is located at 1889 Wildwood Loop in the village of Sunset Point. Barbara Packard and her late husband bought the home in 2005 for $238,500 and were its original owner. Charles Packard died in 2007 at age 58. Oh, gosh, that's like way too young. She is living in the home with her son, who testified last year during a public hearing about the decompliance violation. Jeff Packard, who was arrested, I'm shocked, in 2016 when he was found driving with two blown out tires near Lake Sumter Landing, pledged that he would work on the problem. Yeah, that means nothing when they say I'll work on it. It means it went in this ear and fell out that one. Community Development District 5 supervisors re-examined the situation during a meeting Friday at Seabreeze Recreation Center. It is likely the property will be brought back for another public hearing. Among the options that could be considered would be the forgiveness of the fines. Why would you forgive? I don't understand that. I'd put a lien on the property. The day's going to come, somebody's going to want to sell this property. And until they settle these fines, I don't care if it goes up to $50,000. When they go to sell that property, that $50,000's got to be settled at closing. Period. A villager was killed in a crash Saturday afternoon on State Road 44 in Lake County. The 73-year-old villager was at the wheel of a 2021 Honda CR-V at 1:57 p.m. traveling southbound on State Road 44 north of Rory Lane when he attempted to make a U-turn from the southbound lane, according to the accident report from the Florida Highway Patrol. When he was making the U-turn, his vehicle entered into the path of a sport utility vehicle driven by an 18-year-old male from Eustis. The vehicle collided, and a 19-year-old man traveling as a passenger in the SUV was ejected from the vehicle. The villager was transported to Advent Health Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The teen passenger was transported to the hospital of Sanford with serious injuries. The teen driver of the second SUV was not injured. The crash remains under investigation. Leesburg City Commissioners have agreed to sell an additional 515-acre tract of land to the Villages in exchange for Villages constructing a rapid infiltration basin system for the city. The system will have a capacity to treat up to 9 million gallons of wastewater per day. The tract where the filtration basin is located is north of Florida Turnpike and is south of the village of Dabney, which is the latest construction project in the Villages to be built in Lake County. The agreement allows the Villages to use the property for a construction of age-restricted housing as well as commercial and industrial development. The 1,200 acres the Villages has acquired more than doubles the amount of land owned by the Villages in Leesburg. In 2018, the Villages finalized a deal to purchase 1,127 acres of land along County Road 470 from the city for about $7.54 million. That property, which eventually could include 2,800 houses, is being developed. When the Villages land sale was originally contemplated, the south 515 acres was part of the transaction. However, for engineering reasons associated with reused water discharge, the south side was removed from the final sale. Furthermore, mutually agreed upon restrictions were placed on the property, limiting the property's future use to ensure that the city would always have an area to dispose of reused water, which is a vital component of the wastewater treatment process. The idea being, when a reasonable way was devised to manage reuse, the city would sell the property to the Villages. Since time has passed, the Villages development in Leesburg is now in full gear. Villages propose to purchase the south 515 acres. So, there you go. Buy more land. I've always been kind of curious of how that's going to work out when the Villages has property that's actually in Leesburg, how that's going to work. You got to think that Leesburg is somehow going to capitalize on golf cart accessibility somehow. Are we going to have golf cart accessibility to go to the Leesburg Mall? I don't even know if there is a Leesburg Mall, but you know what I'm saying. To go to the Red Lobster in Leesburg? I'm just wondering if they're going to capitalize on that, because, boy, if they can, that will be huge. Huge. I know the map kind of sucks. That's what it is. I don't make these maps. I just copy them. It looks like it sucks to me, and I know it probably sucks to you, but that's all I got. An Illinois bicyclist who claims to have an autoimmune disease that requires him to drink beer got a Groveland police officer to stop and let him have one while on his way to jail last week. At around 6:15 p.m. Friday, officers responded to a report of a man in a white shirt and black shorts bothering customers at a public store, 7975 South State Road 50 in Groveland. They found the man matching that description near a neighboring Burger King, according to the police report. The man was identified by his Illinois driver's license as Patrick J. McLean, 64, of Illinois. McLean was obviously impaired, with the odor of alcohol on his breath and thick, slurred, and sometimes incoherent speech. McLean told the investigating officer he was riding his bicycle from Crystal River to Titusville. He said he had been drinking since the previous day and did not feel he was intoxicated. The officer asked McLean to perform field sobriety exercises based on his signs of impairment. The fact that the bicycle was his only form of transportation, McLean said he wasn't going to participate in the exercises because he'd fail. He said he uses alcohol and garlic to cleanse himself. The officer determined McLean's normal faculties were impaired and it was unsafe for him to operate any form of transportation, including a bicycle. McLean was placed under arrest and taken to the Groveland Police Station, where he provided 2 breathalyzer samples that returned readings of .267 and .273, more than 3 times the legal limit. McLean was charged with DUI bicycle and taken to Lake County Jail. That's a new one on me. DUI bicycle. Is that actually a charge? Oh, well, I guess. On the way to jail, McLean told the officer he has an autoimmune disease that requires beer to relieve the symptoms. He requested that they stop, and the officer allowed him to drink a beer to alleviate his body pain, according to the police report. McLean is currently being held on a $2,000 bond and is scheduled to appear in Lake County Court on November 29th. Well, by God, I'll tell you what an imagination, and it worked. Good Lord. I got to say, though, because I do stick up for the police, there has to be a legal reason why the officer let him have a beer while he's transporting him to the jail. There's got to be a liability thing in there somewhere. We'll probably never hear the rest of that story, but I just thought that was kind of hilarious, so that's why I read it to you. Okay, I think that's going to be the news for this week, and I hope you enjoyed the porch setting this week. Sue and I always enjoy it. She always kind of got on me a lot, saying, 2 hours, you're staying too long, talking 2 hours. I tell her, it just flies by for me. It's like talking to a bunch of friends, that's all. And so now, like, she's doing it with me regularly, she's agreeing. Time just flies by. We really enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it, because we really enjoy it when you come, talk to us and ask us anything you want. That's the one time, actually, during the week when we do these videos, you can literally ask us anything you want or comment on anything you want. Just don't get nasty, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. We've had people ask us things like how me and Sue met, how long we've been married, how many kids do we have, how many grandkids do we have great grandkids? How did we discover the Villages? How long have we been coming here? I mean, just all kinds of questions you can imagine. What was it like to work at UPS? And what's the one thing that we hate living here? What's the one thing we like living here? I mean, just all kinds of questions. You can ask anything you want. We'll answer them the best we can. I got no qualms about it. Because like I say, I don't sell homes here. I have nothing to profit by lying to you whatsoever. So with that being said, I'm going to get out of here and just say, don't bring the kids in the golf cart.